Well, what the fuck? That's a way to start a live stream. Holy hell, it's been like 3 months. Yeah, it's been like 3 months. It's been since Family Day up here in Canada, or that week anyway. And usually I rush through this a little bit. Hopefully Rich is a little forgiving here. I'm going to take at least a minute, but you know what? A lot has happened in those 3 months, man. Like, we're like 5 clutches deep now, hatched out, eating, and I just got absolutely slammed with work. And unfortunately, between the YouTube, keeping the snakes, and work, I kind of had to cut one out, and unfortunately it had to be YouTube. But you know what? We're back. We are planning on being back to weekly. I do have a couple more guests lined up for the next few weeks. It is going to be a little tough to try and fill in some of those spaces, just because we are kind of working off this last minute decision to get back into this. So we will be announcing next week and the next couple weeks, probably tomorrow. But today we're just going to focus on this show. Super stoked to be talking to Rich. But you know what? I have talked for too long. It's been a couple minutes now. So we are going to just jump right into this. Cheers to Friday, guys. It's Friday night, so you know what that means. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. First and foremost, for anybody that might not know who you are, what you do, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Rich Mccoll, and I go by Rich Mccoll Serpents because I wasn't brilliant enough to come up with a goofy name for my little snake company, so I just went with that. And I also go with RMS with the big Triceratops. If you ever seen my little dinosaur logo that I use on Morph Market and stuff.
Your logo is one of my favorites, by the way. I need a shirt for
right on,
yeah.
Triceratops is my favorite dinosaur since I was 4, so I had to go with it.
I don't blame you, man.
So I do ball pythons and pied's my thing. I do a lot of pied. I'm starting to branch out more from that, but pied's what sucked me into the whole hobby in the first place. So
perfect. All right. Well, sometimes I let people go on a little too long, and it actually eats into some of my questions. So we're just going to jump right into some questions, just to hit the ground running. And guys, you know what? It's the first Friday Night Live in a while, so the live viewers probably going to take a while to get some people in here. So let's not worry too much about that. Anybody in the chat, if anybody has any questions, just throw them in the chat. I'll get to everybody. But if it's a question that I already have, I'll probably just post mine. But anyway, Rich,
hey,
first and foremost, how and when did you get into the hobby?
So it's more than a decade at this point, and I got into reef aquariums for a long time, and then which is just a sucking black hole of a hobby. And quite honestly, going back in the 90s, the technology wasn't as good as it is now, and I kept killing fish, and I hated that. So finally, I got out of it. I did nothing for a while, and I got a tarantula, and then I got a Honduran milk snake, and then I saw a pied, and I was like, oh my god! At that point, pieds were like $2,500, and my wife would have just shot me if I'd spent $2,500 on a snake, right? So I got some het pieds, and that's where I started. And I don't actually remember what year it is, but I still have that Honduran milk snake, and he's about 15 years old now.
So you got those two. Did you just get a pair of het pieds, or?
I bought 3 to start, 3 het pied females, nice. And then I bought a het pied male. But by the time that the females were ready to go, I actually bought a full on male pied, and went from there with that one. I still have the very first actual pied that I made myself, and she's got the very original name of First. But she's still breeding for me, and she'll never go anywhere. That one.
That's awesome, man. It's kind of cool to hear about somebody that saw an animal they really wanted to make, and it's just the first thing that they went and made. Like you knew what you wanted to do, you knew why you liked being in the hobby, and you kind of just went and did it.
Right.
It's kind of funny that you say that, because for us, we actually, like myself, when I first got into the hobby, I actually wasn't all that into pieds. I thought they were a little bit overrated, and I got into the hobby first over a decade ago as well. I'd been doing this, I think I figured it out the other day, it's like 16 years now, just in terms of herp keeping in general.
Right.
And then breeding on and off for about a decade. But when I first got in, man, the first expo I ever went to in person, there was a Dreamsicle at the show, and it was $25,000.
Right.
So probably putting ourselves right in the same time frame there.
Right.
But I wasn't all that into pies, only because I felt that it was very mainstream to I know it sounds so stupid. Right. But I've always been a clown guy, which is hilarious because clowns are probably pied and clown are probably 1 and 2 in terms of popular recessives, right?
And have been for a while, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So not liking pied and liking clown, I wasn't really taking the path less chosen. So don't ask. But it wasn't until Nick came on and we actually started doing it as the Reptile Ward, my business partner. He was first huge into pies. That's what really caught his eye and got him in, right?
Right.
And because I had a business partner that was into pies, I was like, well, shit, I guess I have to appease him a little bit too.
Right.
So we got 1, we got 2, we got a couple, and it grew on me. But it took us 4 years to hit our first one. And I'm talking visual to het, just kept missing over and over again. It actually got referred to not just by us, but by people that knew us as the curse. We
Right.
could not hit a pied to save our lives.
Right.
So finally, last year, actually, we made our first pied.
Wow, really?
And I went from only making one to I think it's now the recessive I've actually made the most animals of, just in that small time frame. So
Right.
it's kind of weird how this hobby works out.
Yeah. And I actually feel like pied at the moment is sort of overcome by some of the other recessive genes at the moment. I think it's actually at a low point for pied and interest in stuff, but it'll come back though. I have faith.
Oh, and you know what the thing is too with pieds? There's always going to be interest, even if it's not the recessive that everyone needs right this second. Like, it's always going to be in people's mouths. Like,
Right.
the popular things are going to be pied and something, clown and something. You know what I mean? It's obviously you're going to have, your ultra glows and your DG kryptons, but that you can argue that's clown too. And like, but it's always going to be in the discussion. It's not like
Right.
pied's going anywhere, right?
Right.
And on top of that, like, there's always going to be new people getting to the hobby that want pieds. There's
Right.
It's never going to stop being a cool looking animal.
Exactly. Right.
So I'm very glad my business partner kind of turned me on to it. I'm definitely a fan now. We have probably way too much pied in our collection, but
Not sure if you can do that though. Not too much.
it is what it is anyway. I'm just rambling about me.
All right.
So you kind of touched on this. I know it's not exactly an interesting story, but your business name is your name.
Right.
One thing I've wanted to start asking people, and I actually thought of this question right before we went on hiatus. Were there any other names that you considered that you can remember?
Oh man, because I don't at the moment. Remember, I'll think about
It's
it.
all right. It's all right. The only reason I ask is because I've gotten a few funny answers just from when I've been talking to some other breeders, like not on lives. So I thought I'd throw that out there.
I sort of felt like every pun on balls had been used already, right? You can't come up with a good pun for that one anymore. So I'm just not a funny guy, right? So so I gave up on it.
All right. Well, if that's the case, why don't we move on to talking snakes themselves? What projects are you working mainly right now?
In addition to pied, I've always got a lot of pied stuff going, and I'm mixing everything into pied. But I think you and we had a discussion about, was it Stranger the other day?
Yep.
Stranger, I really am liking. It has so much pattern, and it also has some color stuff going on with it too. If you watch what it does with pastel, there's some definitely color potential in that one as well. I think that's got a lot of legs. I think it'll do really good anywhere that leopard and confusion acid stuff is done. And it's got a nice pied. Jason Amos, he was a local breeder to me until he moved to Oklahoma just now. But that's who I got my original Stranger from. But he made the pied, and it's I'm not going to say it was totally spectacular, but it was a workable pattern pied with small or low, medium, and high, which means we got all kinds of stuff to work with. So that made me very happy. And definitely it makes a good clown, right? So we'll assume that the clown pied version should be cool. So I'm already working on that one. It's all hets, mind you.
Yeah, for sure.
Nowhere close to doing one of those myself. But and then I just got into puzzle. I've been Sean Bradley was talking puzzle up, years ago, and I should have bought one back then, but I pulled the trigger on two of Ozzy's really nice orange dream, the weirdo line he's got going. I got two of those.
Yep.
And of course, if you're going to make me do stuff other than pied, I'm going to put it into pied. So everything I've done so far, with one exception, is mixing puzzle into pied. And then I have a line of Xanthic pieds that I've been working on, which totally popped up in my collection by accident. And it's probably the same line that Justin has popping up accidentally in his stuff.
Sorry, I don't know if it was on my end or if it was StreamYard. What was popping up? Sorry.
Oh, Xanthic, a line of Xanthic.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I've got orange dream.
I have a theory about that, by the way. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. So I got my original orange dream het pied stock from Justin. way back years ago now. And it popped out of that. And so it's the same stuff that he's having pop accidentally in his collection. And where he sourced it from is apparently the same as where Marcus sourced his from. And so we're hoping. I've got a really nice MJ that I got directly from Marcus last year that's growing up now to test the line out on. But
it's fun. It's funny. It's funny that you bring that up, because I've had a sneaking suspicion for a while that TSK and MJ are the same, because I believe that's the only line that Mandic hasn't ever tried to prove his out against.
Okay.
And we have an animal indirectly from Justin. It's a leopard desert ghost het pied, male. So we actually got him from Andre at Capital Royals. Andre, I'm sorry. But so we got him through Andre, who bought it directly from Justin when he made it. And Andre bred him for about a year or two, I want to say. And I guess one of his babies went on to prove het axanthic to a TSK.
Okay.
So now we have this animal that's leopard desert ghost, het pied, that's potentially also het TSK axanthic. And then I'm thinking already, before I even knew that TSK and MJ were the same. And I'm already up here. So MJ's plentiful.
Right. So let me thicken the plot on you there. So I did one breeding on a TSK snow, axanthic albino, and got nothing. And I currently, but I kept that whole clutch. They're quad het. I'm trying to make a snow pied with that one. Mm-hmm. So that initial one said that TSK wasn't it, only because it should have popped up. But I just at the last Pomona show, and I didn't get a chance to talk to TSK myself, but I was talking to another guy who said that TSK actually has two lines of axanthic. They have their line of axanthic, and they popped up another line of axanthic that came, and again, that other line came from the same source as where Justin got his from. But I didn't get a chance to go talk to them to actually learn any, right from the horse's mouth, learn what they're going to say about it. So there's a potential that you've got an axanthic that has that one because they're from TSK too, right? All of a sudden, it's all thick and chunky, huh?
Yeah, no, and you know what? Like, I've kind of been going off it as like, if it's true, if he proves out het axanthic of whatever, it's just a bonus, right? Like,
I know, he's absolutely right.
We got him for the DG Pied stuff. I believe he's also pos het cryptic, which hopefully either later this year or next year we can prove out. But like, yeah, if that animal ends up being a leopard desert ghost het pied het cryptic het whatever line axanthic, like that's ridiculous, right? Like that's
exactly.
And not only that, like we've already got probably 10 animals that we've held back from him, just different females for the DG Pied project. So if he ends up proving out to be more, all of a sudden we're going to have new breeder animals that are ready for him to.
Exactly. Right.
This game's so fun, right? Like it's never ending.
I always say that's the moment you breed for, is when that little black and white head popped out of that egg, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell is that? And then I realized what it was, and I was racing around the house and and high-fiving the dog, and I contacted Justin right away. I'm like, dude, look at this. And he's like, well, yeah. He said I did the same thing the other day.
That's awesome though, man.
Cool.
So I wanted to ask you, this isn't in one of my questions, but I don't get to talk to many other people that are into Stranger because obviously it's not super out there yet. Well, like it is, but you know what I mean? It's not as affordable as I'm sure some people would hope. Not quite yet anyway. What convinced you to get into that project? Because
part of Stranger was in Jason's hands in the Bay Area, right? In my area of California. Jason had got his hands on some, and I was like, well, there it is.
So I assume though that you probably got your male, which I believe is the same as my boy.
I think it's pretty close. Yellow belly, pastel, leopard, Stranger, and then mine turned out to be het clown as well.
That's what mine is. That's exactly what mine is.
Right.
Weirdly enough. But I assume you probably got him around the same time, and that was, I imagine, back when everybody was, saying it's the same as mahogany, and
It
we're
was.
all suckers, and we're gonna be proven to be idiots, and we should have never spent the money and all that kind of stuff. Was there anything that really convinced you, or
All right, so the one you and I have, I found exactly one mahogany version of that mahogany yellow belly leopard pastel I could find,
Mhm.
and it didn't look like what I bought, and that's what I went off of.
It's
It just
funny
looked
that you say that because that's exactly what I did, not with our combo of animal. Um, but I just went and I looked through, like, there wasn't many stranger combinations made. It was mostly just what Roland had done by then. And
right,
then Deb had done a few, Northern Regis, and like there was, a few around.
right,
Um, but I just went around and I looked at the mahogany combo versus the stranger combo. And the only real similarity I could find was when you hit a really low expression stranger clown, it kind of looks mahogany. You know what I
right,
mean? But every other combo that I found is like it's like night and day. It doesn't even look remotely close.
right.
And I couldn't understand why all these people were so convinced. But then I realized that most people probably don't spend 6 hours digging through combos to compare like I had.
Right.
So
Everybody was convinced about it, but then in my own head, my first thing I thought of was yellow belly, asphalt, gravel. Here we are, all accepting the fact that the pied version of that, all three you can't tell apart,
mhm.
right? They're clearly different genes. Therefore, you can have a mahogany and a stranger that have a clown that looks, really similar. That's kind of where I went logic wise, and you know,
Speaking of that, asphalt pied and yellow belly pied aren't exactly the same, but
yeah, and I agree. I've been working that one pretty heavy too.
yeah.
I really like freeway pied stuff, but
Oh man, I have never made a freeway just by like bad luck, just like the pieds.
right,
Weirdly enough, literally worked for the guy that made them popular for like
right,
4 years. Still managed to just whiff, just over and over and over again. And now I have eggs in the incubator. Um, OD yellow belly / asphalt plus het pied, which is going to prove het. It's got markers, like every possible pie marker you can think of. This animal has.
right.
To my banana, orange dream, yellow belly, and she pied.
Hmm?
So my first pied could potentially, or freeway could potentially be a super orange dream entry freeway pied,
Awesome,
and
yeah,
that's kind of exciting.
exactly.
I totally just sidetracked off the stranger thing though.
That's okay. Okay. Well, I'm trying to get that strain. In fact, the yellow belly in the stranger I got was totally me thinking I want to throw this into both the gravel and the asphalt stuff. Yeah,
I did the same thing. I had a choice between I think two males, and the yellow belly one was considerably more. But I was like, oh man, I have so much asphalt stuff. Like the coolest shit that could come from that. Like I don't think someone's even made a stranger freeway yet.
nothing I'm aware of. Yeah,
No, so that could just be mind blowing.
right. Cross your fingers. I'm hoping next year.
We're gonna jump away from that for a bit. We can get back to projects, all that kind of stuff. How many clutches are you looking at for 2022?
I did 40 last year, and that
Oh,
for
wow.
me, 40 is a lot. And I was off during COVID time. I worked from home, and so I expanded my collection a lot. When I went back to work, I've listened to you talk about in the first minute there about having to ditch YouTube. I've ditched YouTube because I just don't have time right now. I actually need to bring down my stuff, um, but what happened last year is my whole entire season swung into the fall. I tried to breed year round, but I had stuff that I bred in January, I had stuff that I bred in May and September that all went in October. So I got like all 40, or a huge bulk of that 40, all came in September, October, November. So I've swung my entire collection toward a late fall at this point. So I don't know how many I'll get for sure, but because it's going to be like right around Christmas, I think, where I'm going to get the
Yeah, it
bulk.
it's kind of funny you say that because usually we have a late year like you guys, like you do,
Yeah,
or like you did anyway, I
like I
guess.
did. Right.
But this year has just been like just opposite land. Like we started the year with 3 clutches in the incubator. I've never had a clutch in December. in the incubator, and I started with 3. Like it's been wild. Anyway, sorry.
That's all good. I know how to pronounce asphalt. Well, because I pronounce it that way for the same reason you do. half my family is Canadian, so that's where I learned how to say that word correctly.
So, okay, we got a question that's actually going to kind of take us back to the conversation that I just said we get out of, but Bax's balls and such. RA Red Axanthic makes high weight pieds.
Okay.
Are there any genes that will win out over RA to bring pattern back? So, do you work with het red at all?
I don't. I actually have one. I have a male I've never bred. Believe it or not, I have a het red male I've had for years because he has woma, not hidden gene woma. He has the other woma in him, which
Gotcha.
has some neuro stuff. So he's just been a pet. And so without knowing anything more about RA than that, my guess is pinstripe and enchi.
So I can actually answer this because
right, there you go.
we already talked about the curse. The first pied I ever made came from a red axanthic het pied to a visual pied. So the first pied I ever made was guaranteed het red. The second pied I ever made came from an OD HRA het pied to the same male. So I have now made, now I've made more, but in my first 2 clutches of last year, I made 2 HRA combo pies. From what I've seen and from what I've made personally, I don't think that enchi brings back pattern to HRA, at least regularly. I've seen a couple people post like a het red enchi pied that has like maybe like 35% pattern. Like it'll have like a couple small saddles. The first one I ever made had one tiny saddle. Like if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably like a 85% white animal.
Right.
And then the second one I ever made, I'm pretty sure is banana super OD YB HRA pied. And it's literally just the head, and then like a tiny little bit after the head, it goes back maybe an inch. And it's super weird because the head's one color, and then that little bit of a saddle is it's like a neon orange.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And then it's all white after that. So either I just got really unlucky and completely missed on enchi in my 2, or more likely enchi isn't quite strong enough on its own to bring that pattern back. Right. But like you said, pinstripe might be the way to go.
Right.
I myself love pin. I love pin and everything. Like
right.
I'm trying to angle myself to be the pin clown guy, and it's starting to work. So
I just picked up a really nice pinstripe, black pastel, calico, possible OD clown from a friend of mine.
I saw that you just posted him yesterday.
Yeah, right.
I meant to message you on that too, but my day yesterday was nuts. I ended up working 19 hours. But I'm pretty sure that your animal is Orange Dream.
I think so. And what's telling you that is because I don't even have a clue.
So the clutch of pin clowns that I made last year, it was Spot Nose Yellow Belly Clown. Oh no, Spot Nose Orange Dream Yellow Belly Clown.
Okay.
To Cine, what is she? Cine Pinstripe, Cine Pastel Pin Het Clown. I hit 5 clowns and 6 eggs. All 5 are pin clowns.
Okay.
And not one is the same combination. So basically, I got it was such a crazy clutch. I've never had such incredible odds. Every animal was a 3 gene minimal combo. Most are 4.
Yeah, right.
And then I hit 1 male that was everything.
Okay.
And just by the variation in my animals, the only thing that I don't have in mind that you have is calico, and I don't see calico changing the color that drastically from what I've seen, right? Because you have black pastel, I'm working with cinnamon, but you're gonna have the same color tones, right?
Right. Yeah.
And your animal's orange.
Okay.
Like it's just orange.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I would guess that yours is Orange Dream because in my animals, when they first hatched, I had no idea what was OD or not. Now they're all sitting around 200-300 grams, and you can really see the difference. You know what I mean? And that's happened with basically any OD clown I've ever made. So
OD likes to come out later. I've in my experience, yeah.
But just the overall coloration of that animal you have, man, it's such a nice color. But I would expect that entire animal to be drastically darker without it.
So that right?
In my opinion, anyway.
Right, exactly. And I'm gonna end up breeding it anyways. But I got it to mix into the clown pied stuff in the hopes of. I got a lot of leopard clown pied stuff, and the whole hope was that pinstripe would pull out more with that stuff.
And you know what? Pinstripe and leopard together in pied might actually give you something that lets you see the leopard.
Right.
Like more obviously, right? So that might be pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen a leopard pin pied.
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure it's been done because they're both common. But I'm gonna try. But I'm still, I'm gonna take me 3 years at least to get that one going, probably.
That's always the fun part of the hobby, right? As soon as you hit one of your goals, you're like, now what can I do to
exactly.
So jumping over to our next question. What do you believe is a non-recessive staple gene that every collection needs at least one of?
Mine, what I like is leopard, yellow belly, and orange green. Those three are my go-to for everything. And I'm starting to get more into, and I don't even have any, but I think I need to get a bunch of acid, acid confusion stuff, because I'm really liking some of the stuff I'm seeing. I think it's got legs, in that one as well. But yeah, yellow belly. Oh my God, so much you can do with yellow belly, right? And I'm a huge OD fan.
It's kind of crazy too how much of a difference yellow belly makes when you're playing with stranger, eh?
Yeah, right.
It's wild the difference that the stranger combos with and without yellow belly. It makes that gene act totally unlike I kind of expected it to.
Right. I had Nick from Renowned Reptiles, who also has one of Jason Amos's strangers. And one of the things he noticed was just the difference between his stuff, and the stuff that was popping the yellow belly and everything. Yeah.
Well, there's our answer. Apparently, they aren't overly obvious.
I don't know. Okay.
Good to know. But if you had to pick one, but not just for you, for every one gene that everybody needs to have at least one animal with.
Yellow belly. That's totally what I picked. Yeah.
Yellow belly, I think, is a very solid bet.
Yeah. You definitely can make an argument for Menchie, though, I think. And she works in.
You can make an argument for a lot of genes, I feel. Right? I mean, you could even argue pastel, but I feel like at this point, there's nobody that has a collection that doesn't have it already.
Right.
Kind of be a pointless argument.
Right. I made that comment the other day to one of my pals that pastel has become almost like a normal,
Well, I feel like a few genes have kind of, gotten there, right? Like you have your pastels, and then just by themselves, even like pinstripe spiders, stuff like that. Like they've kind of all just shifted, but
right.
It is how it is.
And pastel and stranger, I was so impressed with pastel and stranger.
Me
such
too.
A big difference, yeah.
The pastel stranger is probably one of my favorite stranger combos, and it's super simple.
Right, and it's got a lot of going for it. Yeah, it's dying to be in Desert Ghost.
Dude, Levance with those damn stranger DG clowns,
that's man.
I love the guy. He is Levance. This isn't going to be a shock to anybody. I say this all the time. He's literally my favorite breeder. I love everything the guy does. That dude needs to fucking cool it. He's just making the rest of us feel bad at this point.
Right. Now he's got a hell of an eye, that's for sure.
Oh my God. And how many did you see that post he made? What was it? A week ago? 17 eggs he got from his one female.
Oh, I did see that one. 17 eggs, right? Yeah.
that's gotta be a record. I
have made 17 eggs before one time.
What?
And it was but it's it's the age of the females. I think that's where I feel you get those big clutches. The females older, at least with mine. That's what I've got. But I got 17, and it was a het pied, and so I got 8 pieds. So
was it one of the original het pieds?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whose
name is Smog, because of course you got to have a snake named Smog, right? Lord of the Rings geeks, right? Yeah, she's one of my favorites. She's just a hardcore, never going to go anywhere for my collection girl there.
When you have an animal that drops that many eggs too, like it can even be a normal, and it's so hard to let them move because like those huge clutches, man, they're so valuable. Like you can't
Right.
put a price on an animal that lays a clutch like that.
Right. Yeah.
It's not. You're essentially laying 3 to 4 clutches from any other snake, right? Because you have girls that are laying 3, 4, 5 eggs sometimes.
Right. And
so, man, like
to me, when you get 3 and 4 eggs, that's almost always a young one. A 2.5-year-old. And I almost hate sometimes to even breed those because I think to myself, I don't want 4 eggs. I want 12. But if it's a cutting edge female, you want that 3 eggs is better than no eggs when it's super cutting edge.
Have you noticed that the girls that drop those massive clutches usually take the next year off?
They might, because I often give them the next year off anyways.
Okay.
But that's Smog. That one, she would go nonstop.
That's a pretty awesome animal to have if that's the case.
Yeah, lots of personality. She's one of the ones that tries to eat me when she gets fed and stuff. So.
All right, so you've kind of touched on a few things already, saying you're a few years off, this and that. What are your goals in the next 3 to 5 years? What are 3 of your ideal animals that you could make if everything kind of goes right for you?
So puzzle pied, puzzle clown, and then I've got my exanthic pied combos. I just last week put one of my Aussie puzzles to an Orange Dream exanthic pied. So I'd like to pop that one off. That one's going to take 4 to 5 years, probably get a female ready to go from that mix, since it's going to be hets. That's I'm not going to get a video. So that's my big one for that one. I really like puzzle. I mean, I just picked up a really nice Desert Ghost clown, and I need to make him do some stuff for me too. So that's my big moves are those ones. 7 kilogram Mojave girl. That's just freaking huge.
You should see it. Cody's in our Discord, and he posted a picture of her locked up to, I think he said it was like a 1,500 gram or 2,000 gram male. And the male literally looks like, when you see people that breed their males way too small?
Right.
And it just looks wrong.
Well, 600 gram male on top of a...
That's what it looked like. And it was not a small a small male. So,
right.
Oh, man. My man Randy's in the chat. What's up, buddy?
Yep.
So outside of those 3, is there anything else that you'd like to see yourself producing that time?
Big time from that one. That's what I've got going right now. I need to, so a stranger puzzle pied, that's on the list, and the a stranger pied clown. Right now I've got 100% het pied, 50% het clown. There we go. That's what I got. I got 4 of those growing up, and they're growing up awesome. They're going to be ready early, I think. I have 2 of those on Morph Market, and I keep thinking I'm going to pull them off because I don't really want to sell them, even for big money. I don't want to sell them.
Yeah.
So that's 4 chances at making that combo right there, and I should just do those 4. So that's one I want to pull off as well. The Pied Clown version of it. So yeah, that's what I got going.
Are you working with any other recessives besides Pied Clown and Puzzle?
I just made my first 2 Ultramels I've ever made all these years. I've actually had an Ultramel het Ultramel het pied that I got from Justin years ago, and I never did anything with it at all. And I got a Mojave Hypo that was het ultra, and I just let's just do this because I've not done that ever. So I made the first 2 of those. Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
That was the one to the 7 kilogram Mojave.
Right on, yeah. And I got a bunch of Gene X stuff going on too. I like Gene X. When it doesn't always pop, that's the problem with Gene X, is it doesn't always pop. But when it pops, oh my god, it's so awesome. Yeah. I got Monarch.
Nice.
And it's part of the reason why I went in for the Ultramel was I wanted to. I keep hearing that they're supposed to be compatible, but no one has shown me proof of it yet. I haven't seen a baby from that.
I haven't seen one way or another. we're doing Ultramel. I still haven't made one. I literally have three Ultramel animals. Um, one is the Ultramel Hypopide that we co-own with Billy,
Okay.
which is a badass animal. So hopefully, we got some cool stuff from him this year. He's a breeder. And I have a Bongo Mystic head Ultramel that we plan to put to him.
Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I like Bongo.
Yeah, so that could be some really fun stuff. But aside from that, I have a head Ultramel that we got from a friend of ours, Michaela. And it's just a hatchling. She took one of ours. She gave us one of hers, and like, I feel like I should be a lot further into Ultramel.
Okay.
And I don't know what it is, but I can't see it. Like, every time I think about buying more into that project, I see another clown I like, or I see another pie that I want, or you know what I mean? And I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just not excited for it or
That's
what.
that's where I am with it. I was always I want to buy this instead. I should buy this, but I'm going to buy that. I'm about a year out cross fingers on monarch pies. I'm growing up some hets, so it's going to be head to head stuff. So I'm hoping that once those are ready to go, that one of the Ultramels that I got, it's a boy, and he's got really great pied markers. So he's a possible het pied, but he's got great markers. So I'm hoping he is. So we'll try it. We'll see what happens there. Because, if they're compatible or not compatible, I'd rather make the pied version to prove it one way or the other, right? So
that's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like Ultramel is going to be like Lavender was for me. I was never super into Lavender. We invested in Dream School just to have some animals to sell. And until we hatched our own like visual Lavender, I was very 50-50 on it. I was like, they're hit and miss. It's another line of albino, whatever.
Right.
But then once we started making them, my opinion changed like that, right? Once you start seeing them come out of the egg and that first shed and stuff, like, I feel like Ultramel is going to be the same way. Once I make one, I'm going to be like, well, I was an idiot.
Right. It's hypo. I did that with hypo. I had the one girl that was hypo, and then by total accident, my original asphalt het pied was also het hypo. I knew that when I bought it. I got those from Corey Woods, and so I put it to a pied. I was out and out trying to make asphalt pies, and I popped out a hypo asphalt pied.
Oh, wow.
So it turns out somewhere, and I think it goes back to those original het pies I was talking about. Somewhere I've got hypos popping through the collection. I don't even know what else, because I did another one this year in the last breeding season. So now I've got two of those growing up. But in my hand, I totally changed my opinion of what a hypopide is, because I had totally ignored that one because the photos don't catch it. The photos do not pick up how cool a hypopide is.
No, and honestly, that's the truth. Like, hypos, I feel like kind of get shafted because the pictures just don't, like, you see the hypo, but you don't see it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
like, hypo's another one that I slept on for a long time, and we're finally a little further into it. We have a bunch mahogany hypo stuff and asphalt hypo stuff growing up. But that was another one that I kind of ignored for years.
Right.
And I really shouldn't have. Like, I should be much further ahead with hypo stuff than I am. But man, just real hard headed sometimes.
Yeah. Here's my goofy one for the Dreamsicle. I bought a set of 4 66% het lavenders all the way back when, like a decade ago. I still have all 4 of them. And I bought them on purpose to make some labs and make Dreamsicles that way. And I've never done it. I have never put the pied into my lab stuff. I have no idea why. I make labs because they sell really good at shows. They're sort of the bread and butter. Show's got to pay for itself, so you want to go in there with something that's going to sell. And that's actually how I've used the lavenders. And I just have, of all things not to have made in this long of time is how I don't have a Dreamsicle.
But I mean, you have an asphalt hypopide, and that's pretty fucking cool. So
yeah.
And I can only imagine that thing's probably just getting more and more orange as it ages, eh? Like,
it's getting cooler. Yeah, she was in shed. I was going to put a photo on Instagram probably next week or so when she popped shed. And
so it's a female too.
Yeah, it's female.
Oh, that's a powerful animal to have, man. That's crazy.
That's cool. And I'm repeating. And like I said, I got 2 of them now. But so I'm repeating the pairing with the 2 females. Hoping, cross fingers, because that's a pretty high odds I wouldn't have known I missed it, right? So that's just cool stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a really kind of neat way to realize that you had missed the boat on hypo, right? To be like, holy shit, this is that? Like, damn it.
Right? Exactly.
And I kind of feel like hypo and pied, like it does something to the pattern too. Every hypo pied I've ever seen, they're a little different. You know what I mean? And they're really, really cool looking.
Right,
So
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot more to be done in that project, in my opinion.
yeah, I think so. Ozzy always makes some cool, OD hypo stuff, and I've always meant to, but I never, had the hypo stock for it. But now I do, right?
Another question from Bax's Balls and Such. What do you
Uh,
think is the most underworked recessive?
what is oh man, I forgot the name of it.
Patternless.
The thing with patternless is there's no pattern. You know what I mean? It sort of wipes it out. Now, was it paint? I want to say it's paint.
Oh, the Paint Sentinel stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, paint sentinel stuff. That because it's recessive with a lot of pattern to it that no one does much with. I think that one is gonna have its heyday.
A really close buddy of ours, Nathan Dial, up here in Canada. He was actually one of the last episodes before we went on our break. But he's working with it a lot. I've been seeing a lot of Sentinel stuff over the past few years, and I mean, I'm pretty sure this year's the year that we buy into that because, man, some of the simple combos I'm seeing and just how nice they are, just like a yellow belly Sentinel or paint, super paint or whatever you want to call it. Like, they're just unreal. They're an unbelievable looking animal. And then Justin pops out the Sentinel clowns. Like, come on.
Right.
Like,
for how much they're going for and how much they bring to the table, they're pretty much a bargain right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That Sentinel paint stuff is going to be the next DG. It's going to be the next one that people go, oh shit, this is that? Like, and then it's going to overnight double in price.
Right? Yeah, exactly. DG clowns. A guy had a whole bunch of them at the Sacramento show going back. I want to say it's 6 years ago now. I think this is where what's his name got his, but I forgot his name. I'll come back to it in a minute. But anyways, he had it for $4,000, and I sat there, and at that moment, one of my things that keeps me in this hobby is I keep my wife happy, right? So one of our things, I have to sell snakes to buy snakes, and at that moment, when he had those on the table, I didn't have any physical cash on me. The only credit card I had on me was one I shared with her. So if I'd used it, she would have known about it. So I talked myself out of buying that DG clown. And I think, I can't remember who bought it. But anyways, look at how much they're going for. I would have been, I would have had one, a female that was breedable already. Oh, I kicked myself for not buying that one.
You would have been sitting on top of that project, man. People be coming to you begging for you to sell that thing to them.
I think that's where Levance, I forgot his name there. Levance, I think that's where he got his.
Oh, okay.
And Jason Amos talks about telling the guy you're selling for $4,000, you should be selling it for $10,000, and that's when the guy popped him up to $10,000 in.
That's insane though. It's kind of crazy to hear stories like that because DG is not the only gene that's happened to, right? Like,
right.
But you know what? That's one of the other fun things about the hobby. Like, it's impossible to predict. Like, what's coming next? What's the next big hype thing? And people all seem
old school guys talk about spot nose that way. They're like, why are you paying this much money for a spot nose? Just because Justin did this one. Because Justin did that with it. That's why people are spending that much money on spot nose. But it was a bottom end gene that really did that.
Same with Blackhead for the longest time. Blackhead came out. People, like, it was okay when it first came out, and people, were kind of into it, and then they were just like, makes a darker looking normal, whatever. Blackhead, right? And then all of a sudden people started seeing what it does in recessives, and they went, what the fuck? Like,
right.
And all of a sudden the opinion completely changed.
Right? Black pastel was like, it's just cinnamon, and there was huge arguments online. It's just cinnamon. Don't why are you paying for cinnamon? It's not though. In the end, it wasn't. Yeah.
So we're coming up on our hour, so I'm going to start asking you some of our wind-up questions. Some of these are all actually my favorite questions, and I'm going to start with a real easy one. What's the reason you do this?
Oh, it's so much fun. It's you know what? I go out to the snake room and I've got one thing to do, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this, and I do that, and then it's been 4 hours, but it's been just like that. It's not work. It's just me goofing off with snakes, and that's
It's
why I do this.
it's so fun to just be in there and just like sort of just get to enjoy it. You know what I mean? Just to just sort of be in your space.
Right, exactly. Yeah, totally. That's what it is. Totally my space. I sometimes, even though it's 84 degrees in there, I go out there sometimes and I sit and I'm playing on the phone, and I'm just there with them.
I used to do the same thing too. I'd be like running through tubs or whatever. Then I just end up like scrolling on my phone, just like pouring sweat because it's so hot.
Right?
And like you could easily just walk out the door, but you don't.
Right, exactly, 100%.
Yeah, no, that's part of it. All right, we're gonna hop into I'd say my first of two more difficult questions.
More difficult.
Oh, hey, I just talked about this guy. That's
Who
the guy. That's Nathan Dial. He's the one with all the
Oh,
sentinels.
Nathan?
What was your first big disappointment or letdown in the hobby?
Oh, man, I mean, how to? I don't know. I haven't really had a huge, to me, letdown. I think I haven't really been disappointed in anything. Honestly, there are.
Honestly, I'd prefer that be your answer. If you just said, "Hey,
Yeah,
I've never got fucked. Nobody's ever."
no.
Honestly,
I
that's probably the ideal answer here. I don't think I want you to have an answer.
see. I so far that's I love the family atmosphere of this whole thing. I love shows because of that. I've got pals that are that have become lifelong pals from shows. I've stayed away from. I've watched people have like breeder loans where they've just gone south and that's just blown up, and I just I'm not going to do it. I learned my lesson watching someone else self-destruct, so I have to let myself be there. So yeah, it's nothing really. Yeah.
I'm gonna take it. That's
Right?
probably my favorite answer so far. I'd prefer you not to have a disappointment. No problem, Nathan. All right. If that is the case, we are going on to my last question. If anybody has a question for me to ask Rich, ask it now. We're probably going to wrap up around the 1 hour mark. We're getting there pretty fast. So, guys, drop them in the chat. If you could remove one gene, recessive, incomplete, dominant, doesn't matter, from the entire hobby, everybody, and I'm not saying the snakes just disappear. I'm saying that gene just gets removed from them.
Right.
What would your choice be? And as a follow-up to that question, would your answer change if it was restricted to your collection?
Right. No, and honestly, it's too easy of an answer. It's spider. And as I say that, I've got 4 or 5 spiders that I love. They're gorgeous, But as an overall, if I was to pick one gene that had to go, it'd be that. I mean, which is it's almost too easy of an answer. It gets beat up on a lot. Spider does, but it persists because it's gorgeous. But it definitely has so many problems that, and it gets so much bad press. I think that's part of the why I would pick that one. And definitely, I would say the same answer for my own collection. I'm trying not to breed spider anymore, even though I've got some gorgeous ones that I've tried to extract the other genes out of a spider female. Do the breeding and hoping and then have spider slam down on 7 of 8.
Oh yeah, I feel like spider especially just really likes to persist when you're like, man, I hope I miss. Like,
nope.
I don't know if it's specifically because you're concentrating so much on it because it's spider and you just pay more attention to it.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like spider really persists on those particular clutches where you're like, man, I hope I get a couple without spider, and that's where you hit everything spider.
Everything spider. So I've even stopped doing that. So.
Okay, we got a question from Nathan. Who made your logo?
The Triceratops ones. That is some guy off Fiverr. I just got on Fiverr and started looking for someone whose art looked good that I liked, and said I wanted a fire-breathing Triceratops. I think it was a guy in the Philippines, actually. Yeah.
It's actually funny too because I'm seeing more and more people. it was really weird because for a while Fiverr was the way to go to do logos.
Right.
Like that if you asked anybody for a while, that was the answer. You just go to Fiverr. Why wouldn't you? There's so many options, right? And then there seemed to be this huge push, and honestly, it probably came because more graphic designers in the hobby were coming forward and people wanting to support people in our hobby, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it almost seems like the opinion on Fiverr is completely flipped. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to use Fiverr. I want to find somebody. But like,
Right.
guys, it's a resource. Just
Right.
like anything, it's a resource. You can still go look on Fiverr. If you don't find what you want, like you don't have to use one of them just because you quickly logged onto the site and browse for 10 minutes. Like,
Right.
but they're also graphic artists and they could also use their business. Like, you can
Right.
find the perfect person to make your logo that you would have never, ever come across otherwise, right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah, there's some good talent there. Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're in the final 5 minutes. Any questions, drop them now. So, Rich, I have a question for you.
Right on.
Is there any gene that you don't currently have that you plan to get into your collection this year?
Probably. So Sunset. I have not been a Sunset fan until I saw the Sunset Pied, and it was
Really?
a good Pied. It was. It's a bright Pied. And I think the Sunset Hypo Pied might be amazing. And so, like I said, I don't want to naysay Sunset. I just didn't see much of Sunset I liked. Whereas Puzzles sucked me. I was like, Puzzles cool. I get Puzzle. But so that's one I'm probably going to pick up. Either I'm going to try to find somebody with Sunset Het Pied or, something like that. I don't know that I can afford. What I heard was paid for some of those Sunset Pies. I'm not in that ballpark. So
I'm still waiting on that Sunset that wows me. And when I say that, I've seen some Sunsets that are really nice now. Like when I first made my opinion on Sunset, there wasn't many out there to even really base the opinion on. And
Right.
since then, I've seen quite a few, but the initial bad taste that it put in my mouth, just based on what I had seen, I'm not gonna let myself be swayed on Sunset as easily as I'm not saying it's a bad gene by any means. Like one of my favorite people in the entire hobby works with it, Brian Cusco. He's made some incredible Enchi Cine Sunsets. Like his looked unbelievable. They really did. But I'm waiting for that one big holy shit sunset before I decide that I want to put any money into that project personally. Anyway,
right. And like the Pied Clown sort of did that to me because it was a nice Pied, but there are people out there who don't like Pied. I don't know how you could not like Pied, but so I get it. If you're a Sunset lover, I don't mean to offend you. It just didn't do anything.
Got a couple questions sitting here where, as long as questions keep popping up, we'll keep going as long as Rich is cool with it. If you had to add one gene to every snake, what would it be? That's a good question, Dylan. Thank you.
I would like every snake of mine to have Yellow Belly in it, and number 2 is OD, Orange Dream. And I'm a big fan of Orange Dream Enchi. So that would be the third one would be Enchi in there. And those 3, I could deal with all 3 of those being in everything. But
I'm just trying to think. I could say Yellow Belly, but so much of my collection already has Yellow Belly. I'm just turning half my collection into ivories.
Yeah.
and although that would be great power-wise, then I wouldn't be able to see all my cool snakes because they'd all be ivories. Oh, man, that's a tough question.
Codoms here. If you're talking recessives, then the answer is obviously is Pied. I want Pied in everything, but
if we're going recessive, I'm going to say cryptic.
Yeah.
Only because I have so much clown already, I feel like it would work really well. If I had to go incomplete Dom, oh man, this is tough. You know what? Enchi. Because there's nothing, even anything that has Enchi. Oh no, it's a super Enchi now. Like,
right? Yep. And she's a good one, and it goes really well with all kinds of stuff. Lavender albino, all the albinos it goes well with. Yeah, it's a good one.
What gene would you take out of your own collection and why?
I would take this spider out. Yeah, that one. And I'm not a pastel hater, but I got too much pastel. It's there are certain snakes I have that I wish the pastel wasn't in them. Some of my pieds and stuff that have it. Yellow belly pastel Gene X is just fantastic looking pied. But sometimes I just don't want that pastel to hit into something else I'm making, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I think pastel would be my answer too. Not because I'm one of these people that think pastel is a shitty gene or anything. I think pastel has its place, and I think it can do wonderful things in the right combos.
Exactly. Right.
But I also have too much of it.
Hey.
And it limits pairings because I don't want to make super pastels.
Exactly. I don't want to make super pastels. The super pastel stranger. I got one. It looks cool. I don't want to make 40 of those.
I mean, that's a combo I don't think I'd be too upset about making, personally anyway. But yeah, if I could wipe pastel out, I feel like then I could go out and buy, say, 1 or 2 males that have pastel, so then I could selectively use it.
Right.
I feel like that would be a much more beneficial way to actually use pastel in the collection instead of, oh, that's another gene in this animal that I'm not using for that particular gene.
Right. Right.
Oh, that's a good question, man. You guys waited till the very end. You could have done this the whole time. If you could buy any combo, male or female, what would it be?
Yeah. So right now, with stuff I'm going to add this year is I need some kind of a hurricane combo. I'm really digging hurricanes. I don't have any acid confusion stuff. I need to add that into my collection. And if I'm going to buy one of those, I'm going to want it to be a pied, a het pied, or something else really cool in it to make it worthwhile. As opposed to just not that hurricane's bad by itself, but I want it to be a hurricane, orange dream, yellow belly, plus. A big bag.
That's totally fair. I'm the same way. Like, I have no hurricane. I need hurricane this year, but I'm not just going to buy a hurricane.
Right.
I'm going to buy, a hurricane clown or a cool hurricane combo het clown or something like that.
Exactly.
We actually have a confusion that is the same combo as my stranger, but confusion instead of stranger. And unfortunately, he's only possible het pied. He's 50%.
Okay.
But man, I am crossing every possible thing that I have that this thing proves, because if I can get confusion into my pied stuff, I can put that into clown pied with the stranger, and by the time I'm ready to combine them, I should have the pieces to put them all together into the same animal, right? So that would be cool.
And you mentioned cryptic. I would like to get some cryptic. I don't have any of that at all. So
I have 2 animals. I have the one I mentioned earlier, which is the Posset cryptic male. And then we have a GHI Krypton, and that's it. Like, I love the cryptic stuff. I think it's super cool. I just haven't had the opportunity to get much of it, unfortunately.
Right. Yep.
What do we do? Oh, you think you're funny.
Super Scale. He makes some cool stuff. Super Scale does.
Super Scale Exotics?
Yeah, he makes some cool stuff.
Yeah, he sure does. Sorry, I totally missed a combo. Oh, did we go over this one?
I don't know that we did.
No combo to create. No, we talked about to buy.
Right. So
no limits, no gene cap.
I have 2. I have out of the stuff I'm working right now. So puzzle pied Xanthic Super Orange Dream. I want to make that animal. And then the other one would be that with Stranger. With that, I haven't decided what Stranger's going to do in Xanthic yet, but it might be the right combo of Stranger and Xanthic, like pastel, because you know how Xanthic wipes out all the non-black colors, right? And so I think the thought is that what Stranger, so the Stranger pattern, right, popped into that Xanthic puzzle pied stuff, and I haven't seen what Stranger does in puzzle yet, right? Maybe it's not.
Yeah, that could be wild because they're both so strong.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm working on long term right now. That's in my head, but yeah.
This is tough for me. I feel like it would be like a spot nose Stranger yellow belly hypo clown.
There you go. Right, right,
Because the spot nose yellow belly clown is already insane.
right,
Load stranger on top of that, and you're going to whack that pattern out even further. And
right,
then hypo's going to take that whole thing and just turn it up, right? Like,
right,
yeah, I think that's what I'm going with. Stranger, spot nose, yellow belly, hypo clown.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
GG
don't.
was well with that one too, I think.
I don't know. I think it meant OD versus Orange Bang. I don't know what Orange Bang is. I can't answer this.
I don't know Orange. I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it. And I'm a huge OD fan, so you'd have to Orange Bang would have to really would really have to bang to get me out of the OD fan.
Unfortunately, aside from Orange Ghost, which I just call it hypo. Like unless it's a line that isn't compatible with the main hypo, like just call it hypo. It's easier.
Right.
But there's a lot of genes that have like tried to be started and turned into something that have been orange something.
Right.
There was one up here in Canada. I think it's still around. I don't know much about it, but it was called Orange Glow.
Okay. I remember hearing. I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
I don't know too much about it either. I guess it was a fairly subtle gene that was being worked with up here. I think if it was better than Orange Dream, people would know about it and it would be bigger, personally. Right. But I don't know what Orange Bang is. I've never seen it. I've also not kept up on top of not doing YouTube. I haven't been keeping up on Snake YouTube because I haven't had time. It hasn't just been the doing the lives that I've unfortunately had to forego.
So right there with you, man. I've had the same year as you apparently. Yeah.
So unfortunately, yeah. If this is something new that maybe I've missed, my apologies.
Okay.
Shit. Okay. So I know what this is now. Thank you, Nathan. So if that's what Orange Bang is, his stuff is pretty cool. Like I saw some of it, I guess, before he named it, but it's definitely neat. It's going to be one of those wait and see things for sure. But he's got something. I think I saw that he posted a video about it, but I haven't seen it.
Right. I'm gonna have to go look it up. I know I've seen it out there, so maybe I've seen that video or a photo or something of it, but I'll go look at it. We'll find out.
I don't know how I didn't ask this question. I'm pretty sure it was actually in my pre-made questions, but because I forgot about it, I'm posting Cody's. What is your goal animal to make this year?
So I just started breeding it literally just last week. My biggest goal for long-term progression was puzzle. I'm sorry, het puzzle, het pied, het exanthic, and it should be Orange Dream. Well, it's going to be 50-50. The mom's Orange Dream. And then it could be Super Zoe because the puzzle's also Orange Dream. It's got pastel in it, but what you gonna do? I'm gonna have a big het puzzle year. I mean, that's one of my big moving forward goals for this year. And actually, I think I've got a disappointment going on. I tried to get Stranger into I have a Super Orange Dream Exanthic pipe, and I got her up to 30 millimeters. I even threw an extra 2 or 3 locks on her between 25 and 30 just to make sure. And she looked like she was oboing, and now she's got nothing.
That happened to me with my possible yellow belly dreamsicle female.
Yeah. So I mean, she'll do it next year, I guess. But she's I have her on. If you ever look at my Instagram, I call her my princess. She's on there somewhere. Super Orange Dream Exanthic Pied, and she's the most.
I think I've seen that actually. Now that you mention it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get Strangers in this. No, apparently not.
That's brutal though. That's one that reabsorbed on you. It's always the ones that we're really waiting on. I feel like. This is tough.
Right?
Is this goal animal or like ideal animal that we could possibly make?
That's okay. Yeah.
What would would it be the same answer for you? Like if you could get the best odds on the best clutch, what would be your ideal animal that you could produce?
So the one that I just talked about reabsorbing, if I could have got Orange Dream, Stranger, Yellow Belly, Leopards, that were het exanthic and het pied, and then 50% het clown, because it's a het clown, the male was. that would have been my goal animal of the year. That would have been the best. And I just hit the dirt.
Okay, this is so tough. Honestly, she just dropped her prelay shed, and my odds aren't even that bad. I really, really want to make a banana leopard yellow belly stranger clown female.
Okay.
Banana blade clown female to that same stranger male.
Right.
Yeah, just had a prelay shed. I've had this female for like 5 years, man. I've bred her for the past 3. She hasn't done shit for me. And of course, the year that the stranger's going, this is the year she decided. So I'm beyond stoked.
Yeah, actually, one I mentioned, or I didn't mention that I'm trying for 2 different versions of is pavement pies. So I've got a freeway to a highway pied, male and female, and then I have the opposite going. So the highway pies are sibs, and the freeway pies are sibs, but they're not related to each other. So I'm going for that gravel asphalt, that combo. And so that's just one I got. I saw the Sterling Nelson. I don't know if you saw. 6 months, 8 months ago, he had clown versions of that, the pavement clown.
I didn't see that.
It was fantastic. It was a really nice clown. So that's got to go on the list now too. And I'm nowhere close on that one.
That's pretty awesome though. All right, Super Scale Exotics again. Oh, and I have another one from him that I totally missed. Damn, I am falling behind here. If you could get into any other species of reptile for a pet or breeding, what would it be? I already know my answer.
I'm a tortoise geek, and I've only got one tortoise that's Burmese stars, and I would love to have a breeding group of Burmese stars. And I love all the tortoises, but that's the one I got. He's one little male.
I love a sulcata, but I'll never have one because they become massive.
Massive tank.
Yeah, I don't want a pet that can knock my toilet over. That's kind of the main point there.
Right.
I think caiman lizards.
Oh, those are cool. Yeah,
I love them. They get very big as well, but I just love how they look.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
And honestly, Randy was in the chat making jokes about how I was trying to wrap up the live at the 1 hour mark because I was hungry, because that is what usually happens. But truth be told, I'm sick. I don't know if you can hear, but my voice is starting to go. So I guess my cold meds are starting to wear off. So I think I'm going to wrap this up, Rich. I appreciate all your time, man. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
This was a lot of fun. I definitely love to have you back on sometime when I have my full voice.
There you go.
But maybe later on this year, once we both have more clutches on the ground, some more animals hatched out, we can schedule another one of these and do it again.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, it's been fun. Definitely good fun.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you again. Really appreciate it. I'll shoot you a message a little bit after this. And I hope you have a good rest of your night. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, I hope you feel better, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope I do too. I've been feeling like this all week.
Oh, man, that sucks.
It is what it is. Thanks again, Rich. See you later.
See ya.
All right, guys. So that was super fun, except for the fact that I'm now losing my voice. Too late. Oh, Pete, what? I got to bring you back because Pete just super chatted. I'm very glad you stayed. Okay, Pete, what's your question, man? If you super chatted $10, I can't let him leave. Anyway, well, I'm just going to keep going until he asks his question. But basically, the plan is, guys, to keep doing these every Friday night for the next little while. Like I said, might be hard to get some guests in last minute, but God damn it, man. I'm done. I have to go.
That's awesome.
All right, Rich. Well, I apologize for being trolled by Pete.
I'm all about a good troll.
All right. Well, I'm actually going to let you go this time, Rich. I apologize. Anyway, I feel like that was what he got for $10.
Right
have a good night, man. See ya.
Right. See ya, man.
All right. So I'm not going to bring him back again because you guys suck. Not actually, though. So, like I said, going to try and keep these things going every week. We do have guests lined up for next week and the week after that. Probably going to announce next week's tomorrow morning. And yeah, I really hope that Pete feels good about that. You're just making me look like an idiot. That was great. Honestly, though, guys, I'm going to bed. I hope you have a great night. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, and I will catch you next week. See ya.